Maximizing domestic resources, particularly taxation, is key to unlocking the resources required for public investment and infrastructural growth. But collecting taxes from citizens have proved a Herculean task. My guest this week on Dateline Abuja is the president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Jegede. Hello, thanks for joining us on the program. I'm Gloria Umezuki. Taxation is one of the means by which the government raises revenue to finance developmental programs. However, tax compliance level in Nigeria has remained low, and tax remittances in ministries, departments and agencies are not encouraging either. Well, my guest, the president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Jegede, speaks on tax administration in Nigeria. We'll also bring you our special report on the state of infrastructure in Gwagwalada Area Council of the FCT. But first, a total of 100 government agencies are indebted to the Federal Inland Revenue Service since 2004. The total debt is put at 160 billion naira. Take a listen.
Officials of the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the House of Representatives Committee on Finance at a meeting at the FRIS headquarters in Abuja. The meeting is to brainstorm on the success and challenges of the agency. The Coordinating Director of Field Operations of the Federal Inland Revenue Service told the lawmakers that over 100 ministries, departments and agencies of government have not paid tax since 2004.
The MDA's debts put together it's over 169 billion, 169 point something billion put together. It dates back to 2004 to date. You know, it's all made up of interest, penalty.
The acting chairman, Mr. Kabir Mashi, however, said 1.1 billion naira has been realized in the first quarter of 2012. He also presented the medium-term plan for revenue generation between 2012 and 2015.
The 2012 key performance indicators among others, to adopt a proactive and effective mechanism that will enable the achievement of average revenue targets in all taxes and achieve a ratio of 10% non-oil tax collection to non-oil GDP by December 2012, reduce tax arrears by at least 50% of balances as of 1st January 2012 by end of the year, ensure full implementation of the national tax policy.
The chairman of the House Committee on Finance, Honorable Abdul Momoni Jibril, gave hope to officials of the service when he announced the House's commitment to passage of laws that will help the agency achieve its mandate.
There's a need for us to remain focused, to embrace the spirit of continuity in whichever good policies that are being implemented, and to make sure that the right people are placed in the right places to implement these objectives. I have no doubt that with a proper sense of collaboration between the House and the Federal Inland Revenue, the National Assembly and the Federal Inland Revenue, I'm sure that these objectives are surmountable.
While Nigerians expect better tax administration system in the years ahead, members of the House of Representatives and officials of the Federal Inland Revenue Service promised to come up with a synergy to make this dream a reality.
Right away, we meet our guest this week, the president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. He gives an analysis of the issues surrounding tax administration in the country. Watch. Well, we have with us the president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Jegede. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, very quickly, let's look at taxation in Nigeria. How would you examine or assess the situation we're facing at the moment?
There has been a lot of improvements in tax administration in Nigeria. There's no doubt about it. But we are yet to get where we're supposed to be, or the vision CITN has for the country in terms of tax efficiency. We are not yet there. agreed that the tax revenue has increased over the years. The problem is still there that the entire system is not yet computerized, fully computerized. And the integration of the Federal Inland Revenue Service with and JTB members, elimination of has not taken place, and elimination of multiple taxes need to be carried out before we can say yes, we have arrived.
Can you expatiate more on the issue of multiple taxation?
Multiple taxation in the sense that you pay the same tax twice or more than twice. So, and that one is very prevalent in the third tier of government, whereby the local governments continue to charge taxation recklessly, not minding whether the taxpayer had already paid similar tax in another local government.
And this has been going on over the years?
Yes, and CITN has been hammering on it that it has to stop because it's discouraging businesses, it discourages foreign investment in Nigeria. It makes business very, very costly.
Is there no sanction or something to really?
At the moment, no, because of the constitutional provisions. The third tier of government is independent of the state somehow, and the state is independent of the federal. Okay. But the solution we are trying to advance to curb this is to bring the local government on board as member of JTB, so that JTB can then sanction. If you are not a member of a body, they cannot sanction you. That is.
Now, it is absurd for people in the rural areas to be paying multiple taxation. I mean, they've found themselves in this web, and considering the meager income they earn, is there any way out of this?
Actually, and legally speaking, it will not be really possible to find alternative solution, because now the revenue going to the local governments are not enough to carry out the projects or to fund the budgets at that third tier of government. And again, mind you, there is a joint state and local government account where the allocation from federal goes into, and the state will have to oversee how that money is disbursed, how it's managed, which is not supposed to be. That money allocation going to the state is not being hijacked or being administered by federal. State decides what to do with its money. So the local government should also decide what to do with its money. So you discover that the money, actual money going to the local government is not what is being allocated from the federal. Therefore, the states will go out to look for alternative sources of, and they are very aggressive to get more money. That is the problem. So the only way, the alternative way is to amend the constitution to give room for direct allocation of a federation account to go to the local government account directly, so that they can have more money to execute projects. Then this issue of admitting them as a member of JTB.
Now, how would you say the federal government has fared in the implementation of the national tax policy so far?
The national tax policy has just been, how will I call it? Has just been published, or this thing of a few weeks ago. So we are yet to see any serious implementation. The only area we are concerned about really is now that the position of the chairmanship of Federal Inland Revenue Service is vacant. If government is going to go by the provisions of the national tax policy, only members of CITN should be considered. This is in addition to the provision of the law of Federal Republic of Nigeria that makes it even compulsory for our members to be appointed to that position: chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, and chairman of all the states' board of internal revenue. So this has been amplified in the national tax policy. So we are waiting to see who will be appointed to take over that chairmanship in the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Can this policy really address the issues of fraud and tax diversions in the country?
The national tax policy cannot do that. It's a broad guideline of what the policy, the philosophy of government as far as taxation is concerned. The only thing that can guarantee what you are saying, to stop this menace of diversion of tax revenue, is very strong internal control system. So if we have a very robust internal control system, the revenue coming from taxes will go directly to federal government purse.
Now, even though the country makes a lot from income tax collection, why don't we rely on this as a major source of revenue generation?
Of course, the revenue from oil is the major source of revenue in Nigeria, and it's really absurd. And what we are really saying is that the country should try as much as possible to think ahead. Think ahead in the sense that let us just look at it. Supposing something happens to US today, may God forbid, and we are unable to sell the oil, what shall we do? That is number one. Number two, there is always daily advancement in technology. Most of these advanced countries are looking for alternative sources of energy. They don't want to rely on oil alone. Solar is there. Some vehicles are being powered by battery. Some vehicles are being powered by hydrogen, which is essentially water. So a time will come that oil will not be as lucrative, the oil market will not be as lucrative as we know it today. And what can guarantee the sustenance or the sustainability of the economy of any nation is the taxation. Taxation in the sense that as long as human beings continue to inhabit this planet Earth, taxation will continue to be relevant and will be a dominant source of revenue to government. So the earlier we start thinking on how to change this structure of revenue to a permanent and more liberalized source or policy, the better for the country in future.
So if things are really looking gloomy this way, how do you hope to make much impact using taxation to transform the economy?
What we will continue to do is to still continue to create the awareness that state government, federal government, local government should give taxation its rightful position as a revenue drive for the economy. So as long as we continue to do that, people will continue to get to be aware of what they're supposed to do as good citizens of the country. I mean, like telling them to pay promptly, telling them to pay their taxes as and when due, and also for the government to utilize that fund judiciously. Because if the fund is utilized judiciously, taxpayers will be willing to comply and pay voluntarily. That is the truth of the matter. So government really need to play its part by spending this tax revenue judiciously for the betterment and welfare of the citizenry.
So why are we not getting so much tax from the informal sector?
But that is not true. The tax system in Nigeria is progressive. If you are a low-income earner, you pay less. And if you earn a lot of income, you pay more. The only area we've not been able to harness the potential of tax revenue is the informal sector. People who are artisans, who are not in the formal employment and so on, who are just selling and buying and selling. These people have not been brought into the tax net. That is the truth of the matter.
Now, one question that is yet to be answered is how much is our past and present leaders, paid this tax in the last decade, and why is it difficult for us to get this data up until this moment?
No, our own function as an institute is that of regulation. The law empowers CITN to regulate the profession. We don't collect taxes. we don't assess taxes and we don't keep custody, accounting or statistics on any of those aspects. So what I can say, which I know very well, is that the politicians or leaders, they've been paying taxes. What the last Personal Income Tax Amendment Act 2011 did was just to amplify that, look, the emoluments, either allowances, basic, whatever, of these public office holders should be taxed in accordance with the tax law. So, on our part from CITN, we don't have that statistics to give you how much they were paying before and how much they are paying now.
Now, experts have observed that the nation's tax system is ridden with corruption, and of course, accusations are pointing towards your members as well. What's your thoughts on this?
That one is not true, because when there are a lot of touts all over the place, parading themselves as tax consultants and tax practitioners, and we are unable to control this because we have a case pending in the court of law between us and ICANN. So it will be wrong or sub judice, let me put it that way, to start arresting people or asking the law enforcement to arrest this or that when we have a case in court. All our members, we have disciplinary procedures. We have investigating panel. We have disciplinary tribunal to try offenders, but only our members. And anybody that is brought before us, we will give him or her the opportunity to defend himself or herself. But the proper procedure of the law must take place, including the expulsion from the membership, seizure of certificate, suspension, and so many other penalties that we can deem fit. But now that you are saying the people in places is leading with corruption and whether our members are involved, our members are not involved. It's these quacks who are involved in these shady businesses. And that's why we are calling on government to really sanitize that system, so that at the end of the day, when these court cases are settled, we will be able to take the bull by the horn.
Now, how is the absence of fiscal federalism affecting the tax system in the country?
Well, the absence, there's no way it will not affect tax this thing in the country, because as at now, the tax law is a federal law. So when that monopoly is broken and we have true fiscal federalism, the states can come up with their own law and then administer the tax law and the revenue as they wish. So in that case, there will be competition. But as things are now, none.
Very well, thank you so much, President, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Jegede, for coming on Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much.
Well, this week's special report focuses on infrastructural development in Gwagwalada Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory. About 45 minutes drive from the capital city. Conceived in the Abuja Master Plan as the industrial zone of the FCT, it easily stands out as the second most developed after the capital. But contrary to its identity, no industry can be found anywhere apart from this defunct carpet factory. All the plots of land originally allocated for the purpose of industry establishment still lies fallow.
We have been telling the government, like we here in Bogota, like the Royal Highness, the Aguma, always talk to the chairman, and also chairman, he will forward the complaint to the higher authority also, because to look into this our problem. Even special, let me go to the light matter. You will see that many people, or when you go to the market or to the store, you will see a lot of jam line up, loading, because no light.
With a population of over 500,000 people, lack of electricity and pipe-borne water remain a major challenge. At every corner, water vendors, popularly known as Merua, strut the streets with gallons of water sold at the rate of 15 to 20 naira. This is the only way residents can have access to clean water. The council had 2 years ago built water systems for communities, but the people speak of its inefficiency.
Some of us who have the privilege to learn a little bit, we've written some of the issues at the area council, but have not been completed, and the Zekara Wulu administration is even random up now.
When we contacted the chairman of the council, he gave several reasons responsible for the infrastructural inadequacy.
We have that arrangement that to connect the pipe-borne water to some communities, which I mentioned, like in Paso, Dagiri, and the rest of even Kutungu. See how they can connect this pipe-borne water to these communities. So in the next 4 months, by God's grace, it should be a thing of the past.
With about 10 wards in the council, it was shocking as well to discover that there was no refuse dump site for residents. All the garbage is dumped by the popular Usman River, used by the people for domestic chores.
We had a series of meetings with the Environmental Sanitation Department, and we agreed that a measure has to be taken on how to stop dumping of refuse and Usuma River. But we agreed that either a policeman or this civil defense corps be posted into that, around that place to stop dumping of this refuse. But as a Nigerian, you tell them one thing today, they go ahead to do another thing.
This is the popular Usman River, used for many years now by the people of Gwagwalada. And if you look just behind me, you see there's concrete structures that used to be a linking bridge between Suleja and the western parts of the country, established since 1976. And actually, we discovered this is a very huge dumping site for the people of Gwagwalada. Apparently, there's nowhere for them to dump their refuse.
The main market here is the Gwagwalada market. Several months ago, it was demolished by the council to build better structures. But the traders today continue to lament over the neglect.
And in this place where we manage ourselves, they feed our children for school. No place where people go keep fire. See me, see road, see as I stay. Now there's so power they speak of Gwagwalada with that. Whether they know say poor my day for their country, no.
The University of Abuja, also located in Gwagwalada, has brought added educational exposure to the people. The chairman also boasts of over 50 million naira internally generated revenue. Nevertheless, the people insist that they would want to see more concrete changes commensurate with the generated revenue.
Well, that's as much this week. You can be a part of the program by sending your views and comments to Dateline Abuja at channelstv.com, or you can follow us on twitter.com/Dateline Abuja. I'm Gloria Umezuki. Thank you for watching.